Hello and welcome back to another video here on the channel. My name is Jake. You can also call me Atrocious, and today we're going to be doing some unofficial English commentary of the top 8 match in the Hiroshima Japan Championships in OP08 format that happened in Japan just the other week. This is going to be an exciting video in my opinion, but first, before we talk about the matchup in today's video, let's go over the top 8 that's left in this tournament. We've got 4 starter tech 10 Trafalgar Laws, a deck that we've seen dominate for the last couple months. It is still going strong in the OP08 meta. There's 4 different decks that are just one player each in the rest of the top 8. We got one Perona, green-black Perona from OP06. We have a starter deck 13 black-yellow Luffy, a very, very cool deck that I know a lot of people are excited about in the West heading into OP07. Another exciting deck that people are excited about in 07, this is the 07 Rob Lucci, and then rounding out the top 8, we have the OP01 Doflamingo. So very cool top 8 outside of Trafalgar Law, absolutely dominating, but we're going to be getting into this match. I'm very, very excited for this upcoming deck that we're going to be showcasing. We'll look at Perona happening against the Trafalgar Law, and if you didn't notice by now, this is not my stream, this is not my content. I'm watching the official stream. I'll include the link in the description below, not monetizing this video or anything like that. I'm just trying to get commentary practice under my belt, watching some cool matches and doing some commentary to hopefully maybe one day do some of my own officially for Bandai. But until then, let's focus on this game. Looks like the Trafalgar Law is going first in this, if you can't tell by the marker that they slid up top above the life section. That's the going first marker in these Japanese tournaments. So it looks like both players opting for a mulligan to start in this one. So kind of interesting builds on both sides. We're going to talk about the deck list after the match. And some interesting takes, especially in the red purple law list. We know that there's a couple different cards that came out in OP08 that are very strong for the deck. Some getting a little bit more noise than others, both being 4 copies though. So we'll see if those copies see any action, any influence on this one, because we didn't see red purple law in the previous top 16 video. The Perona deck also has some interesting inclusions in it that I cannot wait to talk about later. Hopefully some of them get included in this match. There's some cool cards coming out in OP08 and some revitalized cards coming from OP02 way back when, making its way into this deck as probably one of the decks that I'm probably going to main in OP07. I really like Perona. I think Perona is a really cool deck overall. It's definitely not the best, and it definitely struggles in some key matchups in the meta, but I think it has a really cool potential and a really interesting playstyle with its ability to really draw cards with some of the options in the deck, and especially the new Searcher Otama in OP07. So players keeping the hand because they have to, I think it is. So putting out their life there. We'll see when we get the starting hand. This is the red purple law player. Just deciding between the judges who or what life is the top life, because you know some players do it differently. Looking at this hand, very, very nice. We see the 2 cards that I was mentioning that were brand new in OP08 that were really looking to be impactful in this deck to really ramp it up to another level. That's that Charlotte putting in Black Maria cards in there. We see the Reiju, the 4-drop staple, as well as the Gordon, being very, very good cards that you see in pretty much every single red purple law deck. And then the 4-drop Trafalgar Law, the one that can catch some cards from your opponent's hand if you're not careful. And the Perona's hand looking interesting as well. You got a Suru and Otama there. The Otama going to be a good searcher. What is that? You Should Be My Samurai in there. That's the event card to draw 2 cards. And also a Ryuma and a Jack. The Jack being a new card in OP08. Very, very excited. We can potentially see a lot of newer cards in these decks really make an impact to start. So we'll see exactly if they do get the way. And so first on turn, not playing down preemptively a Raise Max. I think that's a really, really good idea. Some players might do it, but with that Perona leader effect to be able to rest that character immediately. You definitely don't want to get it caught off guard in certain situations, because especially very frequently in the Perona's turn 1, they're playing either the Otama that I mentioned earlier or this Momonosuke to search in the top 5. They're going to grab a 2K Izo. That's that Izo back from OP01, I believe, that rests a card, and they're going to pass it off to the Law. So they're just going to attach no Dawn, actually. I thought they were going to attach all 3, but it looks like they're just swinging 5 for now at this point. Going to be taking it right there. So getting an early take, getting that Borsellino blocker from life, and with 3 Dawn left, we'll see exactly what they want to do right here. It looks like they might play this Black Maria. The Black Maria, very interesting to play down. It does have that activate main once per turn. If you have no other Black Maria, add up to 5 Dawn from your Dawn deck rested. Then at the end of your turn, return Dawn from your field to the Dawn deck until the number of Dawn on your field is equal to your opponent's field. So it basically allows you, and what makes this deck so nice, it allows you to be able to play this Black Maria, ramp up a ton of Dawn, 5 Dawn, and then use that leader effect effectively for free, especially on a 3 Dawn turn, a perfect curve card. So with getting that life, they do have 7 cards or more in hand, so that Trafalgar lot that they put down through the leader effect is going to catch a Jack and a Suru. 2 pretty good cards, especially that Suru there getting a good catch. You love seeing a 2K off of that. That's just less counter for the Trafalgar Law leader. And drawing, I believe, another Suru on that. We'll see what they can do. Because the Momonosuke got bottom decked, could be difficult to use the You Should Be My Samurai, sorry. And so resting the Black Maria through the leader effect and going after it right there, they do go ahead and block. And really thinking about playing this Ryuma, I think this Ryuma is probably a really good option for you right now, because that Black Maria activate main is once per turn, right? You don't want Black Maria to be on the field at all. So while it's rested, you know, using the Ryuma to take out the blocker lot, that's really interesting in my opinion. I thought it would have gone to the Black Maria, but anyways, moving on in this one, only 4 cards in hand right now. You do get a Queen blocker, and because you had to go up to the number of Dawn that was on your opponent's field, now this Trafalgar Law is at 4 Dawn overall. They will be able to get 5 more Dawn for a free leader effect if they have a way to get rid of the Ryuma, and they do with that Raise Max. So we'll see if they play that Raise Max down with the other 3 Law. You could maybe see a swing coming from the Black Maria. You could also see that Dawn just attached to the Trafalgar Law to try to get another life, maybe put them at 2 life, right? Because they've already taken 1. And so thinking about where they want to go right here, I do think maybe want to get rid of this Ryuma potentially. Just going to be swinging 8 at lead right here. So forcing them to either give up 2 2Ks, which they know they have at least 1, or take a life. And I do think taking a life here is probably a decent idea. Getting that Hiyori card I really, really love, and then using that Raise Max to then bottom deck it and be able... I guess preemptively bottom decking it, saying, you know what, I know you're going to bottom deck it, so no worries. Playing that Reiju, and since they're at less Dawn and less than 5 cards, they're going to be drawing 2 right there, and then using the Black Maria effect to boost up 5 and really just only take away 2 Dawn off of that Black Maria effect. So Black Maria already proving how strong it is in this one. We're definitely probably going to see the rest on the Black Maria and swing at it again. No blocker on field at all, and Black Maria only being a 2K character in terms of power, it is going to be pretty easy to knock out from the leader, but that's another turn that you're not swinging at life. So really curious on how this player, this Perona player, is going to play this out. First going to be playing that Otama there. That Otama going to be searching the top 5 for a Land of Wano card and put it in hand. Looking at the Momonosuke right there, they already have one in hand, So getting another one could be interesting. Could just be a turn that we see a ton of draw and a ton of search cards, right? I mean, they already have another Momonosuke in hand. You can rest the Momonosuke with 2 more Dawn, and then with a 3rd Dawn, play the Momonosuke, the second one that you have in hand, and then rest the active Momonosuke and the Otama for the You Should Be My Samurai to draw 2 more cards. Just get a lot of cards going, get a lot of collection right here, right, and try to eventually build up the board. So I'm going to be grabbing that Momonosuke, like I mentioned. We'll see if they do that play of really just drawing a ton of cards. You do have 5 Dawn left overall, so you will be able to attach some to the leader and swing as well if you would like to do that. Going to be resting that Black Maria first, just swinging at it right there. Going to be taking it out. Black Maria doing its job, getting 2 plays out of that, and now just playing the Borsalino and leaving 1 Dawn open. So 1 Dawn open is interesting. Obviously, you wouldn't really want to use the You Should Be My Samurai with that final Dawn as of right now, but I wonder what they're trying to feint exactly in this one in terms of the potential options. Perona not really playing like 1-cost counter event cards, so pretty interesting. Maybe just didn't want to commit the Dawn early to the Perona because they knew that a 5 was going to take out a 2K Black Maria. So just trying to utilize Dawn as best as they can. The Trafalgar Law attaching 3 and swinging 8 at lead could be interesting. You do have the 2Ks in hand, right? I think that's kind of what this Trafalgar Law is trying to catch at this point in the game. They're trying to catch that 2K and another card on top of that. But I think maybe what they're doing is saving the Borsalino, blocking with the Borsalino, and then pitching 2 cards as well, which I don't really know if I like that play overall. Might be the play that you do want to make, though. Maybe just overall, you know, keeps a high amount of counter in your hand. You do have another 2K and a couple 1Ks in the hand. So maybe this is actually the best play in terms of keeping this alive, because this could probably bait this Reiju swing right here, 7 going at the 6 Borsalino, right? Because remember, on your opponent's turn as Borsalino, you do get plus 1K powers. So all they need right now is just to pitch this Suru, and they survive this turn. Now, that Borsalino still can get bottom decked, though, because of the potential for a Gordon Raise Max combo, right? Anything that minuses the power of your characters. So really just eyeing up what they want to do. It looks like they're considering, maybe this is actually a life, maybe saying, you know what, I'm going to be bottom decking this Borsalino probably, so I'm just going to swing at face, see if you give me a life off of this right now. And I think that's actually what they're going for, is they put aside the 2K and the 1K, the Suru and the Hiyori. So it was at life, and they did take it. Going to be another Hiyori. Hiyori, a great card overall in this deck, but not if you don't have any Wano characters to play along with it. So the Borsalino gets bottom decked after the power goes down 3, and a Beppo comes down. Beppo's something that we've seen go out of the Trafalgar Law decks in like OP07 and whatnot, but making its way in this OP06 or OP08 deck, I'm sorry, really getting value off of that on-play effect to be able to ramp Dawn after you've used your leader effect a couple times. Really, really cool option. So the Perona player really in a tight spot, hasn't even swung at life at all yet in terms of getting life out of the player, because they can't keep any bodies out longer than a turn. Definitely the bottom decking function of the Trafalgar Law, inherently a counter to the Perona, especially those 4-cost Ryumas that we saw earlier, because that Ryuma is an on-play on-KO effect, which does not proc when you leave the field of play via bottom decking. So going to be potentially using some shenanigans. Did play that Hiyori to potentially, off of this You Should Be My Samurai draw, to find something to be able to use that Hiyori effect and it looks like they didn't. Just found 2 8-cost Sabos. The Sabo, a great secret rare in this deck and a great inclusion, but not the time to play it. So now really doing some digging, looking off of this Momonosuke for something, Ryuma, and that's exactly what they find, a Ryuma off of this Momonosuke draw. So going to be getting that and probably using the Hiyori effect to get that down and pop the Reiju, although there probably is value in using leader effect to rest the Beppo and actually pop that instead, simply because the Beppo does have that effect of when attacking, so it is inherently more valuable on the field right now than the Reiju overall. So swinging 6, they might be swinging 6 at Beppo right now, seeing if they get out of it, because there's only 3 cards in the Trafalgar Law's hand, right? There's a good chance that if you swing 6 right here, they're not going to be able to KO or counter out of this KO. The Charlotte Pudding is a 1K counter card, so they only have 1Ks in hand and going to be pitching 2, going to be pitching the Kid and Pudding overall to put them at 1 card in hand, so forcing them off of this Ryuma because they know they have the Ryuma in hand because they searched it to go ahead and KO either the Beppo or the Reiju. And it looks like it is going to be the Beppo going away right now. And off of that card drawing, I think, a Gecko Moira. So not a lot of stuff in hand. We did see a one-legged toy soldier come in, so you got a couple 2Ks in there, but really just not looking good at all. And with the top deck of a Gordon on the Trafalgar Law side, that's another character that would usually be swinging at life bottom decked for a consecutive turn. Gonna be really interesting on this one to see how the Perona deals with this. Just a tough situation, and gonna be 2 2Ks there on another 8K leader swing. The Trafalgar Law really dominating this game overall, and going to be swinging 8 again and taking that life. There's Belmare-san, a new card that I was talking about from OP02 that comes in and not bottom decking the Ryuma. Actually, probably a good idea and good foresight on the Trafalgar Law player, because if this Perona player plays a blocker, something like a Borsellino or a Sabo, right? Sabo is something that we've seen in these Perona decks in the past. You're going to want to bottom deck it, right? So then you can go for games. So that Gordon, you can't guarantee that you'll get another one, right? You've already seen a couple Raise Max already. That Gordon is going to be able to get you to swing at life when the Perona has 0 life. So a good heads up play by the Trafalgar Law, just being patient in this one, saying, you know what, I'm at 4 life. If you swing at my life with that Ryuma, that's fine. I'm not worried about it. I'm not pressed about it. So a couple counter cards in hand and a couple different options now at 10 Dawn. You could play the Gecko Moira. The Gecko Moira would be able to grab a Hiyori, but the Hiyori, in my opinion, wouldn't be good because you don't really have anything to play off of that. You do have the Momonosuke there that could come up in life. You've got a couple different options, but not great ones because all your good cards, in my opinion, are at the bottom of your deck. So really tough spot overall. Placing what looks like 5 to the side and 3 or 2 more after that. Looks like they're going to be messing around with 7 and or 5 and or 6 and 1. I'm sorry, going to be attaching 1, swinging at the Reiju, taking that out, saying, you know what, yeah, you can do that, and resting to be able to search. Probably looking for a Land of Wano type card in here to be able to use off of the Gecko Moira Hiyori play, but going to be fighting an Otama instead. Another 2K searcher coming into the hand for the next turn as you cleared board. So with 8 Dawn left overall, going to be using 1 playing this Otama, so no Gecko coming down in this turn. It is going to be a couple different cards. We see a Ryuma there, not going to be getting a KO, but is going to be a card that can go ahead and potentially swing in the near future. Also, I think the only option that they had outside of Otama. Remember, Momonosuke can grab a Momonosuke, any Land of Wano card, but Otama cannot grab another Otama, just to make sure you know the difference on your searches. So going to be resting another one, just going to be digging for cards at this point. Going to be looking, and it looks like a Bell Marathon is in there, one-legged toy soldier, a Jack, a Moira, and it looks like nothing overall in there. Really going to be tough at this point because with the Gecko Moira, right, you can't play Gecko Moira and get that Borsalino, or I'm sorry, the Borsalino's at the bottom of the deck. I completely forgot. So going to be really, really tough, especially because you can't stop a swing right here. And so going to be using the Hiyori effect, going to be taking that out, that Otama on that play, and use the Hiyori effect to play down a Ryuma. Going to be a draw of one card. You only have 2 Dawn left, so unless you have a 2 Dawn blocker, going to be really, really tough. But you put out all your searchers, all your counter power there to try to search for cards. You only got 2 Dawn left, not looking good overall. Could play a Momonosuke to do some searching for a Land of Wano character, and it looks like that might be it. Swinging 5, taking that life, going down to 3, and playing that Momonosuke right there. Probably going to be searching for it as they turn it sideways for the very last Dawn. Trying to, I don't know what they could grab right here that would make a difference. Maybe are they going for a 0-cost event? I don't think the 0-cost event does much. And finding a 2K Izo, so the Izo is nice. Maybe just trying to pressure the Trafalgar Law into saying, all right, swing at the Ryuma, but they're going to be attaching all of this Dawn, I would imagine, or most of it to the leader, and it looks like all the Dawn going into leader and cannot counter out of it. So didn't fall for the feint at that point. Just really a dominating performance overall by the Trafalgar Law. The Perona just could not get anything going because of that bottom decking. That was a tough match to watch. Just not, it was so lopsided, and that really just shows the strength of this Trafalgar Law deck. We didn't even see it at full strength because we didn't even get to see the Charlotte pudding. We'll talk about that here as we go over the lists. So let's go over the losing deck first, the Perona. The Perona, very similar to OP07, but a couple different inclusions in there. You do have this Bell Marathon, which is a old card that is coming back into this deck, at least it did for this tournament. Really, really cool option overall, in my opinion, because for just 1 Dawn, you can get that -1 on a character and then boost up your leader 1,000 power during the turn. And this is an activate main rest the character, right? So if for whatever reason it decides to live, you can give an extra power up to your leader every time they swing, right? It's effectively saying that this card, with that 1 Dawn that you play on the field, it's almost like you're putting it on your leader as well, in a sense. Really, really interesting card, in my opinion. We saw this kind of jump into the Perona decks at the end of OP07, and I'm really excited to see this at the end, or at the beginning of OP08 as well. There's also Jack in here, the OP08 inclusion in here. This character costs +4 more. We've seen this in the starter deck 14, I think it is, the Black Luffy that deals with higher cost characters on your side of the field. This Jack is an inclusion in that, and also in this Perona, but mainly for this activate main effect. You can rest the character, draw 1 card, and discard 1 card from your hand. After that, KO up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 3 or less. So especially with different cards that minus cost, right? In the Bell Mare, you've got the one-legged toy soldier right here, although it's a 2K, so it's primarily used as a 2K. And also the leader effect overall. This Jack can get a lot of value, especially with a lot of blockers in this format, being in the range of like 5 to 3. You know, 4 and 5 is kind of the magic number. So doing the Belmare and the Perona could be really, really nice, especially for the 4-cost blockers or something, to be able to get rid of them. But in terms of the list that won that round right there, a 4-4 inclusion of the Gordon Raisemax and also those Otama for that 2K counter in there. We talked a little bit about the Black Maria, and you really saw right there how effective that Black Maria was. Just being so good at being able to give your leader a free leader effect, and especially since this Black Maria is a 2K as well. Insane value for a 2K, in my opinion. This character is definitely an inclusion and definitely something that you'll see in most games when your Trafalgar Law sees it in hand. Also, this Charlotte Pudding is a really, really cool card as well. This new Big Mom Pirates purple card. Your turn, once per turn, when your Dawn is returned to your Dawn deck, add up to 1 Dawn from your Dawn deck at rest. So essentially, almost like a Eustace Captain Kidd, but instead of active, it is rested. And especially cheaper on 3 could be really good in the early game, right? When you're using your leader effect, you get Dawn back much faster, so your leader effect, isn't as damaging, you know, getting behind on Dawn. You have a couple ramping cards in this deck that really get you back up to where you need to be. The Zorojuro, a great card in here. The Beppo, something that I see on and off, but maybe we'll start seeing this trend of Beppos coming back into the Trafalgar Law OP08 decks. Just a good card overall. I know there's a lot of conversation about which is better, Beppo or Ein, and I've seen both. Ein is just like a little bit more consistent, but Beppo is that 1K counter power, which can be really, really nice in a deck that plays a couple non-counter cards in the Gordon and Raisemax and Kid Killer, which we didn't even see the strength of Kid Killer in this game, but you know how strong it is, especially you Western folks watching this because of the dominance it's had, or the strength that it's showcased in the EB01 format and soon upcoming in the OP07 format. So those are the 2 lists. Thank you so much for watching. I super appreciate it. Make sure to check out the previous round if you haven't already, and I'll catch you hopefully soon in the next match as well, in the top 4 match. Only 2 more rounds to go, I believe, in this tournament, so I hope you stick around and check us out for those as we do, again, some unofficial commentary. If you want to watch the actual tournament, the link will be in the description below. Thank you so much for watching. Oh, look, there's the video right there, the top 16 video. It's Boa Hancock and what's that guy's name? Doflamingo. This says OP08. I gotta switch that to OP07. See ya.